Welcome to another Brit in Poland production. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like, I would really appreciate it. And if you're interested in learning more about Poland and seeing the sights, the history, the customs, what it's like to live here, then feel free to subscribe. And if you want to contribute to this channel, please feel free to contribute to my Patronite account. Information is in the comments. Otherwise, please enjoy the video. In today's video, I want to show you Gniezno. This is a city 50 kilometers east of Poznan. It has around 70,000 inhabitants and is part of the Greater Poland Voivodeship. And it's actually quite a big deal. You may not have heard of it, but you should, because this is basically where Poland pretty much started off. But let's go a little bit back. So, legend tells it that three brothers, Lech, Czech, and Rus, were wandering through the forest, and they were, hunting, but also looking for some land which they could settle. They're traveling through this impenetrable forest, and then they split up. So, Czech goes to the west, Rus goes to the east, and Lech continues north. And eventually, the forest kind of opens up into a charming landscape, a vast valley surrounded by hills and surrounded by a circle of small lakes. And there, Lech basically, while he's hunting, he follows his arrow and suddenly finds himself face to face with a fierce white eagle guarding its nest up in an old solitary oak tree on the highest hill in the area. And seeing the eagle against the red of the setting sun, Lech took this as a good omen and decided to settle there. And he says, "I take this white eagle as the emblem of my people, and around the oak tree I will build my city and name it Gniezno," which basically means from the eagle's nest, I believe. So, Gniezno actually goes back to, the Paleolithic era in terms of sort of archaeological finds. But its kind of more modern history, I guess, starts in the 8th century, where it was home to several Slavic settlements. And around 940, this site was known to be an important pagan cultural centre and became one of the main fortresses of the Piast rulers. And then this is where Polish history really comes in. So in 966, Duke Mieszko I, who ruled several Western Slavic tribes, consolidated his power by being baptized in the Latin Rite and marrying Dubravka, Princess of Bohemia. Now, this is symbolically regarded as the creation of the state of Poland and moving Poland to becoming a Western country under the Pope's protection. But it's still not a kingdom. So, around 1000 AD, you have Bolesław the Brave, who was the Duke of Poland and the son of Mieszko. And he received into his court the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, and the foundation of the Polish ecclesiastical province was made. He went on to conquer a sizable amount of territory, and then in either 1024 or 1025, depending on what you read, he was crowned king. Sadly, he didn't last too long, and his son Mieszko II, Lambert, was basically crowned king shortly after. Now, sadly, Gniezno was destroyed in 1038, so didn't last too long, and the capital of Poland was moved to Krakow. However, the cathedral would be rebuilt by Bolesław II, or the Generous, who was crowned king here in 1076. And Gniezno would find itself the coronation site a few times in 1295 and 1300 respectively. But Gniezno was destroyed again in 1331 during the Teutonic Knights invasion, though it was soon rebuilt by King Casimir III the Great. The city would flourish as the capital of Christianity in Poland, with much trade and craft developing. But it would then suffer fires in 1515, 1613. It would be devastated during the Swedish invasion of the 17th and 18th century, and it would suffer a plague from 1708 to 1710. But despite all that, it would continue to recover as one of the main cultural centres of the Polish kingdom. Then history does its usual thing to Poland, so everything starts to go back and forth. So it goes to Prussia in 1793. It's briefly won back by Poland, then Russia comes, gives it back to Prussia. And actually, the city doesn't come back to Poland again until 1919. During the Second World War, Poles were subject to arrests, expulsions, mass executions, with, of course, the Nazi Germans responsible for all that. Hundreds of Poles were killed, and more than 10,000 were either expelled or sent to concentration camps. Gniezno remained a strong centre of the Polish resistance, however, but in 1945, the Polish resistance fighters would fight the Soviet Union this time, and they would basically be deported into deep Russia, which is a common practice of the time. And in more modern history, the city would be visited by Pope John Paul II in 1979 and 1997, much to his excitement. Now, as you'll have seen many clips in this video, one of the most important sights you'll have is the Gothic Gniezno Cathedral. Originally built in the 11th century on top of an existing pagan temple. Over the years, it would be damaged by fires, pillaging, or it would just collapse in places. And so it had to be rebuilt and remodeled numerous times over its history. But over its history, it crowned 5 kings of Poland. And it's quite an impressive place. You are guaranteed to spend a good amount of time there. You can go up to the observation tower and get a wonderful view of the city, or you can head down into the crypts and see some nice archaeological history of the early kind of Polish state. You also have the Gniezno doors. Now, these were said to be placed around 1175. These are bronze, using something called the lost wax technique to manufacture them. The origin is a bit debatable. It could have come from France, Italy, Germany, Flanders, Bohemia, nobody's quite sure. And basically, it's 18 panels chronicling the life of Saint Wojciech. So, quite a unique bit of history and a unique find there. Now, Gniezno itself, it's not the biggest place in the world, especially if you're focusing on the old town. But it is the place where Poland began. And as you can see in the main square, you have all of the kind of heraldry, so all of the symbology for the different states of Poland. And honestly, if you are in Poznan anyway, it's so quick to get to. I would really recommend taking a visit. Of course, there is a lot to see here other than what I've talked about today, but I hope you've at least got a bit of a glimpse into the early history of Poland and why this city is so influential in it. I encourage you to visit, and thank you for watching. And stay tuned, do zobaczenia.